Tonight, I want to let you in on one of my deepest and darkest secrets. I am insane. Hey guys, anything else is just normal, right? So do we want to lead a normal life, or do we want to lead a life that can be extremely successful? I promise you, after I'm done speaking tonight, many of you are going to want to adapt some of the same insanities that I have and I have employed. They've asked me ever since I was very young, was I born insane? And I said, you know, it might be part of my DNA, but it might be where I grew up. Where I grew up, I saw a lot of unhappy people going to work every day. My parents' friends and my friends' parents. And I said, one day, I'm not going to be like them. I'm going to find a career I am passionate about and want to go to work every day to have the greatest time in the world. That's what I do. And you're about to witness that yourself. When I was young, the first job I took was a paper boy. And why a paper boy? How many of you know great entrepreneurs that actually were paper boys? Many of them. My paper route started with 62 homes. There was 4,400 homes in my neighborhood. I said, hey, how big do I want it to be? Well, lo and behold, before I knew it, we had over 460 homes. I'm walking out of the house one morning at 2 a.m. to deliver my papers. That's how long it took. And I run into Mom. And Mom says, hey, where are you going at 2 a.m.? And I said, I'm going to deliver my papers. She looked at me and said, son, are you insane? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. And I said, Mom. She said, son, this is the last day at 2 a.m. Get yourself and figure it out. So I go to school that day, like many of us do every day in the business world. I went to school with a problem, but came home with a solution. I hired 2 of my friends to work for me. So I went from being a paper boy to being what? A manager. I had to learn how to inspire them. Yes, inspire them every day to come to work. And I learned at a young age, you manage different people, yes, differently. But I had a great mentor. I had a grandfather that had a bottling plant in Newark, New Jersey. He manufactured cherries, syrups, toppings, and colas. And he taught me the definition of insanity. He said you need to be insanely committed to the kind of products you put out. You need to be insanely committed to your customers. So much so, you need to figure out how to be available 24/7. You need to be insanely committed to the great employees you have. I took all that because he ended with, you need to be insanely committed to your life. And I took it and applied it. Yes, I applied it in every aspect of my life, even the gym. A healthy body and a healthy soul gives you clarity of mind. And I want to tell you, you see the picture up there? Well, guess what? That picture isn't me. Back then, I was much bigger than that. So let me tell you, let me bring you right here to great USF. This is where it started to get interesting. Why? Because in my senior year in advertising school, I knew I had picked the right career. But more importantly, we got to compete against every other college in the nation. NIDA, National Institute on Drug Abuse, put out a briefing. They said they wanted to curb or stop the drug use among the youth of America for fear that future generations of Americans would be burnouts. And we took on that challenge with all the gusto. We were insanely committed to win. I have a philosophy. There's no second place in life. And lo and behold, competing against every college in the country, USF won. We went to Washington, D.C. We presented our campaign in the White House to the First Lady, the Vice President, the head of NIDA, and 50 other constituents from all sorts of government. It was an amazing day. And the campaign we produced, that many of you have seen and grown up with, is the campaign Just Say No. It became national and internationally famous. And I took that to Madison Avenue, set 10 appointments, and I went 0 for 10. I heard the same thing on every appointment. You need experience and you need an MBA. Lo and behold, how depressing would that be? You have your whole life in front of you. You dreamed of walking on Madison Avenue, and just like that, They rob you. The dream robbers rob you of your dream. They take away all of your gusto. But I said, no, I'm not allowing you to rob me of my dream. I went back to school because I listened to what they had to say. And I said, I'm going to go and learn about advertising and marketing at a much higher level in the MBA program. But what I learned the first day of school was shocking to me, because they gave us the Allison Fisher purchase funnel. The top of it had awareness, and the bottom of it had profitability. Never before did I see any business plan that said they wanted to build awareness. Every single business plan I had ever seen, and my grandfather introduced me to many, were about how are we going to become more profitable. So I said to Dr. Stevens, my great marketing professor, your funnel is inverted. Profitability should be on the top. Come on, we all know that. Profitability should be on the top of the funnel. A brand that's profitable has awareness. It also has margin, and it also has what? Market share, which is what we all want. But that night, bells started to go off, and I started to write a business plan to build the first business solutions agency, metrics driven, that what? Was going to be an advertising agency. Never before was it done. Advertising agencies focused on output, not outcome. And they surely weren't metrics driven. My first office. A humbling experience. Let me tell you how I lived. It's embarrassing. But I lived at my parents' home. I slept on a sleeper sofa for almost 5 years. I ate canned foods while my friends went out to dinners that they could afford to have. Every dollar I made, I plowed back into the business. Sacrifice. Too many people today don't want to put in the time or energy to sacrifice for greatness in their life. You know, that's what it's all about. And let me tell you, that sacrifice absolutely paid off, because this is our new corporate headquarters. So when you dream big and you dare to fail and you learn what it's like to sacrifice, anything, yes, anything is possible. Now, people ask me always, how did you start? What happened? My goal was simple. I wanted to be the best local store marketing agency in the world. Not the country, in the world. And I wanted to do it in the hardest sector that's out there, the retail automotive sector. And that's exactly what we did. In less than 5 years, we became the largest retail automotive next-day sales agency in the world. And I was going to parlay that model one day into every sector in the country. No matter if they were selling pizzas or they were selling homes. We were going to diversify, and we were going to do that. But being in the auto sector led me to land my first national regional business in the United States, Mitsubishi Motor Cars. Landed it. They were selling 136,000 cars. By 1997, 4 years later, they were selling 252,000 cars. But let me tell you a horrible story. Life, yes, life is not fair. They hire a new president, and they replaced the predecessor. And the new president looked at us. It didn't matter how successful we were, how much the dealer body loved us. He looked at us and said, guess what? You're not my agency. You're my predecessor's agency. And I want my own agency. So on a Friday night at 5 o'clock, I lost a $40 million piece of business through a fax machine. I walked into my boardroom that Monday morning on a mission. I said, listen, do not fire anyone in the agency. This is me. I am going out on the road for the next 4 to 6 months, and I am going to win back dealer business to replace this business. Make sure, even if you have to go into our reserve, you make sure everybody gets paid, except me. Okay, I get paid when business is good. We lost the business, and business wasn't good. 4 months later, 4 short months, I returned with $45 million worth of business. Sound insane? Absolutely it is. That's why my talk today is titled Insanity. I am telling you, because when I walked in the room into my office that day, I get a call from Nissan North America. Now, I had heard horror stories, what was happening in Nissan in 1998, but let me tell you, they made an awesome product. So they say to me, Jordan, we heard you got fired from Mitsubishi. And I said, yeah? And they said, well, we'd like to hire you. I said, that's great. Now I said, go on. They said, it's a $110 million budget. I said, that's terrific. Doesn't get any better than that. So I replaced $40 million loss with $155 million worth of new business. Everything sounds wonderful, except one thing. They lost in 1998 $7.2 billion. The media had a frenzy. They said, Zimmerman, are you crazy? Or you really are insane. You're taking on a business that's driving itself out of business. And I said, no, I'm taking on a business. We're going to drive right back into business. This is going to be unbelievable what we're going to do with this brand. And ladies and gentlemen, 4 short years later, they made $8 billion in a single year, a $15 billion profit swing. Anything is possible if you approach it with an insanity like no one else does, with a differentiating strategy like no one else does. So people ask me all the time, listen, you've been hugely successful. Why aren't you sitting on a beach, drinking some pina coladas, and relaxing? And I said, come on. I made a promise to myself, that when I built the best local store marketing agency, the business solutions firm that was metrics driven, I was going to apply it to every category. And that's exactly what we've done. Look at the great brands we represent right from Fort Lauderdale, our corporate office. And let me tell you, one of them happens to be Papa John's. Now, am I insane, or was John insane to start a third pizza maker? Well, I don't know who was more insane, but we took on that business when they had a 1.6 share. We activated better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's, that you all know it, and everyone wants to feed their family and themselves a pizza that's a little bit better. Their market share is over 8. They're growing every day. It's an unbelievable brand. John is an iconic brand. His Q score is through the roof. He has a higher Q score than Ryan Seacrest. Party City. Nobody has more party for less. Think about that. They were a merchandise-driven company. We turned them into a marketing-driven company, hugely successful today and rising over 800 stores, and they are rocking. And we've applied it to every category you could think of. Furniture with Ashley Home Furnishings. They are the largest retailer of furniture in the world and the largest manufacturer in the world. Number 2, we've applied it to the sports category. We've applied it to the Florida Panthers. And we've done the same thing, and we've applied it to those luscious sliders that we all have eaten late at night, driving home from the bars. Every single category we have tried it in, we have fully activated it. So why am I here today? I'm here because in 2008, I said to my team at Zimmerman, and I said to every single client, I heard there's a recession. Somebody said, hey, it might even be a slight depression. I choose not to participate. Are you all with me? And like a charm, everyone rose to the occasion, including the clients. From 2008 through 2012, we grew almost $600 million of business only because our clients were successful. When their businesses grow, our businesses grow. That's why I'm here today, to teach you all, to show you all that anything is possible if you dream big, you dare to fail, and you differentiate how? Through an insane commitment to everything that you do. Now listen, here's some tips. Being here today, I want to make sure everyone can hear the tips. Stay desperate in whatever you do. Steve Jobs said, stay foolish, stay hungry, when he spoke at Stanford for a commencement speech. I always add to that, stay desperate. I stay desperate every day when I drive to work. Why? Because it keeps me hungry and it keeps me working every day for the client's business. Vision. Vision is not about seeing what is. Vision is seeing what could be. Just like I saw what could be and building the first business solutions firm that happened to do advertising, Andrew Carnegie built the first steel bridge in America. Why? Because every bridge before that was built out of wood, and 25% of them were failing. So what does that tell you? That tells you you must believe in yourself. Each one of you that's watching this today has to believe in yourself if you're ever going to get anyone else to believe in you. First, it starts with us. And these are some great men that have built America. It didn't matter if you were J.P. Morgan, that not only built a great investment firm, but he also built GE. Or it happened to be Rockefeller, that Standard Oil one time controlled 90% of the oil distribution in America. Or Vanderbilt, who controlled the railway. Or even Andrew Carnegie, that I just spoke about. They all believed in themselves the same way each of us needs to believe in ourselves. And they embraced fear. They ate fear for breakfast. How many of you make the mistake every day? I can't do that. I'm scared. Somebody said it to me tonight. I was scared to do that. I got to tell you, you cannot be scared. You need to embrace it. You need to empower it. And you need to make fear your absolute friend. I risked everything when I started Zimmerman. $10,000 I invested to start that firm. That was the only $10,000 I had. And I had a never quit attitude. It didn't matter what was happening at that time. I made it happen. And I ask each of you today to dream big, to dare to fail, and to make it happen every single day. You're going to get knocked down. But when you get knocked down, learn to brush yourself off and say, I can do it. I am going to embrace fear, and I'm going to be successful. Finally, people ask me all the time, where do you find the time? And I have a slogan, you sleep when you die. Hey, life is for the living. If you don't sleep when you die, what are you going to do? Sleep when you're alive? You don't need that much sleep. You just heard me say I get up at 2 a.m. in the morning. I still get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I hit the gym. And I exercise for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, depending upon the morning. But let me tell you what happens. When I get back at 5 a.m., it's time to go to work. Time to go to work for the client, reviewing the numbers, sending out detailed emails, sending out texts, talking on the phone, making it absolutely happen. That is my insane behavior. That is the way that I work. And I hope tonight that I've imported some of this insane behavior on each and every one of you. I've inspired you to dig deep and be different. I've asked you all, follow me if you have a question. I am on Twitter, JZSpeaks. Ask me any question you want. Okay, I will answer that question. I will help you achieve your dreams and your goals. Thank you for having me here tonight. It's been a pleasure. God bless.